Hey guys, I'm the math professor Kyle Martin, and this is the channel where we do your math homework fast and accurately, all right? We're talking all about factoring trinomials when our A term is prime today. So in this video, you're gonna know when I can use this, what a prime number actually is, okay, and when it's possible to use that, and then 3 examples that we're gonna go over where our A term is a prime number, and we're gonna actually factor it, okay? So remember, there's timestamps in the video player down below. You can jump to whichever parts you need, whether you just need the examples, if you just need to know what a prime number is, but let's get into it. Okay, so when can I use this? When can I factor when my A term is prime? Well, it's gonna be when the A term, remember this is A, B, and C, a trinomial. There's 3 terms, the first one's the A term. So when the A term is gonna have a prime number as its coefficient, okay? So that brings us to what is a prime number? Well, a prime number is any number that can only be arrived at by multiplying 1 and itself, okay? And so a real quick list of those numbers is this. All right, so here's the start of that list. There's infinitely more numbers than what I have listed out here, but this is the first several, and this will give you a good start, okay? So again, this is a number that can only be multiplied by itself and 1 to get to that number. For example, 2 is only arrived at by taking 1 times 2. Okay, 3, same thing, 1 times 3. Can't take like, you can't take like 1 times 2 plus, right? You can't do that to get to 3. And the only way you can multiply it with whole numbers is by 1 and itself. So again, 1 times 5 will get you that. 1 times 7 is 7, and so on. Those are prime numbers. All right, with our first example here, the way we go about factoring these trinomials when our A term is a prime number is very similar to what we did when our A term was 1. There's a link to that video right here if you need that. But what we're going to do is we're going to take our A term and our C term. Remember, this is A, B, and C. We're going to take our A term times our C term for just those coefficients. So 5 times -4 is a -20. We're going to put that at the top of this graphic organizer. This is our little X-shape graphic organizer we're going to use. In the bottom of that graphic organizer is going to go our B term, which is -19. All right, -19. And then when I'm looking to find our 2 numbers that multiply, for the little dot right there, 2 numbers that multiply to be -20, and those same 2 numbers are going to add to be -19. The only numbers that will work here are going to be -20 and 1. -20 times 1 is -20, and -20 plus 1 is -19. All right, and then it's a little bit different than what we had when our A term was 1, but what I'm now going to do is set up these 2 parentheses, okay? And the only way I can split 5x squared is 5x and x. This is the benefit of it being a prime number, okay? You cannot split 5 any other way than, remember, 1, this is like 1x, and itself, okay? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these numbers that I found, and I'm going to kind of connect my first and my last terms here, and then my 2 innermost terms. Okay, and I'm going to decide of the 2 numbers that I found, 5 can go into which one of those, and of course it can only go into the -20. So on the line connected to the 5, I'm going to put a -20, which means that 1 has to go on the other line. All right, and then you just follow the lines around. You're going to go 5 goes into -20, how many times? And it ends up over there. So 5 goes into -20, -4 times. And then 1, it's like a 1 in front of our x, 1 goes into 1 once, +1, okay? And if I take this top part, that is going to be my answer. I could multiply that back together, and I would end up with my original trinomial, 5x squared minus 19x minus 4. Let's do another one. All right, example 2, we're going to go a little bit faster now. So my A term times my C term is -12. It's going to go on the top of my graphic organizer. My B term, remember when there's no number in front, that's just a 1. So 2 numbers that multiply to be -12 and add to be 1, I think are 3 and 4, right? And of course, one of those is going to have to be negative, and it looks like the 3 will be negative. 3 times 4 is -12. 3 plus 4 is a +1. -3 plus 4 is a +1. Okay, so remember, you put your 2 parentheses, and the only way you can split 2x squared is with 2x and x. Right, 2x and x. Connect your first and your last. Connect your 2 inside ones. 2 only goes into, of the 2 numbers we found, 4. 2 only goes into the 4, so the 4 is going to go on the line connected to the 2, which means -3 has to go on the other line. If I follow this around, 2 goes into 4 twice, +2 times. and 1 in front of my x goes into negative 3 times. Okay, so your answer is the 2 parentheses up above. All right, my last example, example 3 says 3x squared minus 10x minus 8. So I take my a term times my c term. 3 times negative 8 is a negative 24. It goes on the top of my graphic organizer. On the bottom is going to go my b term, negative 10. Okay, and then remember, if you're having a hard time figuring out which numbers are going to work, you can take the number that you're multiplying, which in this case is 24. Just take the positive version, even though it's negative, that's fine. Okay, and then find the factors of that. All right, I'll do those for you here. Right, so I found these pairs of numbers, and I'm looking, of those pairs, I'm looking to find ones that multiply to be negative 24 and add to be negative 10. Okay, so just if I'm looking to get to 10, when I add those together, if I subtract with the 2 and 12, that could work. And if I add both 4 and 6, that could also get me to 10. Okay, so you have to be a little bit careful here. If I take like 4 and 6, for example, in order to get to a negative 10, they'd both have to be negative, but negative times a negative is not a negative, it's a positive. So I don't think it's going to be negative 4 and 6. So again, you got to be a little bit careful there. Instead, it's probably going to be 2 and 12. This time when I put a 2 and 12 on, in order to get to a negative 10, when I add those together, my larger one's going to be negative, since my answer is negative. And then does that also work when I multiply? 2 times negative 12, yes, is negative 24. Okay, so then over here, back to our problem, put our 2 sets of parentheses. And remember, the only way you can split 3x squared is with 3x and x. 3x and x. Connect your outside ones, connect your inside ones. And 3 of the 2 numbers you found, 3 can only go into negative 12. So that's going to go on my bottom line, connected with the 3. And on the other line has to go the 2. And then just follow it around. 3 goes into negative 12, negative 4 times. And 1 in front of my x goes into 2 twice, positive 2 times. Again, those 2 sets of parentheses on top will be your answer.